DB instance that we just created, right? So if you can relate, we were also modifying EC2 instance, right, which we had created. Say like if you want to scale it up vertically, you had some options, right, in EC2. We were bringing it down and we were doing modification. So here we can modify this RDS DB instance as well. So just choose RDS, right, from the Amazon Management Console, right, and from there you go to RDS dashboard, right, where go to database. In that database you have your database instance, right? You just select that, you go to action menu. You see here in the left itself, in the action menu you have stop, reboot, delete and take snapshot, these options.
Yes, okay.
Right, so you can stop, you can reboot, you can delete, you can. Now if you want to modify this, you just click on modify, right? So you have various options here, lot of details, lot of options will come which you can actually change, right? So you see this is a database engine type, right? This is version, you can change that. Minor version changes are options are there. You can you have the identifier here, you saved logins. With that, this is required, so this is already there. I'll just do one escape. So you have option for new master password or something you can modify. Instance size, you see you can change to standard. No, classes includes M classes. You have memory optimized. No, R classes. So DB for large you can choose 15 GB RAM, 2 vCPUs. So you can do some modifications, whatever you wish, based on the requirement, right? So you can choose, say like this, 16 like this. It says give it on 2 DB instance classes are now preview release. Okay, so like that you can change. Now you see multi easy deployment, right? So here for high availability at any point of time, if you want to create standby instance, simply choose this. They will create it for you, right? You can choose that from SSD. You can go for provisioned IOPS. You can increase this size, right? And you can go for, so MySQL community supports provisioned storage 100 to this GB only. So provisioned is not 2030. You have to go for minimum of 100 GB. So MySQL community supports 1000 to 80,000 IOPS, right? So you can choose select 1001. So it will take. For a workload with 50% writes and 50% reads, for this you can realize up to 25,000 IOPS. However, by provisioning more than this limit, you may be able to achieve lower latency and higher throughput. Right, so all those calculations are there. You can go for auto scaling, right? What threshold you want, right? So you can make it say like no, this much, 2 TB something. Now connectivity, all these things, and then additional connectivity of publicly accessible, not accessible, port number, password authentication. So you see you have the backup retention period, you can change, right? You can select the change the window. So you have all those features beside. Correct? Getting it? Getting the meaning of this modification?
Yes.
Right? So you have all features, you can do it, right? So everything will be involving cost here. You do the changes, whatever size if you're increasing. So based on the requirement in production environment, we can change this, right? So let me cancel this for now, right? So now you are comfortable in creating any RDS MySQL DB instance, right? And doing modifications, connecting to the MySQL instance and the database, creation of table, right? Some kind of a small testing you can do, and you can further learn, right, from the various sources available on the internet, right? So now with that, what we will do, we will delete this, okay? So please go ahead and
Okay.
delete it. Otherwise, no, As of now, there is no charges or something, but why to waste our no hours, 750 hours we have required, right? We have 750.
Actually, Harish, I have been charged rupees five something, five
Okay.
point.
Okay. For what?
Don't know, but I got an email.
Okay. Okay. So you can
So
go
it
to that
is
billing. No, I had shown you billing.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'll just guide you for that in another tab. So what I had explained once, you go to billing every time,
Hmm.
right? And keep seeing that ₹5 you can pay to Amazon. That's good actually. That's like no, yeah. So you see here for me this month it is 00, right? You go to bill details.
Okay.
Go to bill details and see this month just started. If you go to August month, so I got ₹8.
How do I go to bills?
On the console, you just look for billing. Just type bill.
Okay.
You have billing. Go to billing. In that billing dashboard, you click on bill details. This I think you should do frequently. Otherwise, you may get a huge charge sometime.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see 0.06.
Yeah. Correct. So now you go to details and see. You see here wherever you see that say like you choose month of August, and then wherever you see, say like for me it is 0.11. If I come here, it says this portion says 0.09 and then GST says 0.02. So that comes to 0.11, right? So 0.09, what it shows is EC2. If I click on that EC2, 0.09, then in Ohio region it says 0.09. Then if I come down, it says NAT gateway hours, 2 hours, 0.09. So you remember I was telling that NAT gateway, it will be using that elastic IP, and no, it will be chargeable. That NAT gateway will be, no, it's a chargeable service. Internet
Okay.
gateway is free, but NAT gateway is chargeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Harish, I can see it's Elastic Compute Cloud. It shows $0.05.
Yeah, so click on that Elastic Compute Cloud, expand it further, and then you will see some zones or some regions where
Yeah.
you click expand the region where you have the amount, and now
Yes.
you
Yeah.
see
Yeah, I can see the amount in the US East over here.
charge for only NAT gateway, right?
And yeah, per
Yeah,
NAT.
not good.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So that is chargeable actually. NAT gateway, you know, pricing. If you look at, so you'll find that it is chargeable, right? So that what do you
Says-
call internet gateway is free, right? So NAT gateway will be, you know, per hour chargeable. So if we whatever time we have used, so accordingly it will be
That is,
per
it
hour basis charged.
is 1 hour and $0.05. So I think last time it was for 1 hour. That's way, right?
See, it says 2 hours for me, so it's double of that. So I think 0.045 should be for 1 hour. You see, you just make half of it. That is the charges.
0.045 per NAT gateway hour, it says.
Yeah, correct. So see, for me, 2 hours means 0.045 into 2.
Correct. How do I check this is released now? This NAT gateway we are not using.
This you should because it's showing 2 hours. That means released.
1 hour, right? So it's released, right? Last time.
Released. Yeah. Otherwise, you could have got huge billing only.
Correct.
See, you can go to that AWS homepage. There you go to where you find NAT gateway, Pradeep. Where is that NAT gateway?
NAT gateway will not be here.
Where will it be?
Yeah.
VPC, right?
VPC, yes.
So in VPC, you have all these gateways. So internet gateway is free. NAT gateway is chargeable, right? So here, if you come to this VPC, Prashant, right? So here you see NAT gateways.
Okay, I should go to VPC. I should type VPC, right?
Yeah.
View console.
So in VPC, NAND gateway, and there should not be any. So that billing is really very important, whether it is like free tier or production environment. That is very important. You remember I had talked about creation of budgets. These budgets, one time in one of my session, I had explained about creation of budget, create a budget. So you can also create a budget where you can define that, no, I just don't want to pay more than cost budget or something. Set your budget. So you can select that budget, and then you can say like fixed amount. I just want budget amount should not be more than $1, right? Last month it was this much. You can say like that, right? So you'll get a notification if it goes beyond that. And when it comes to some percentage of that, you will get the notification. You can mention all those. So just look at my previous video or something, there you will find it. So just follow that. So keep using this billing, always keep visiting it, right? So wherever you find that amount, just go ahead and tune it. Okay. And then free tier uses pricing, wherever it is, so that also you keep on checking, right? So how much you can utilize. So keep an idea of that, right? So then you can utilize it fully, right? So this RDS MySQL instance we are going to delete, right? So you see, if you try to stop this, so what it will say, you can stop a DB instance for up to 7 days. If you do not manually start your DB instance after 7 days, it will be automatically started. So they will start it for doing some maintenance, right? So it's not for just creating a database and keeping it indefinitely. So that's not the purpose here. So database should be used for some purpose, right? And so for that reason, they don't want it to be outdated. So they are just, switching it on, and then they are upgrading all those minor versions things and backup and whatever things you have configured, all those things will be taken care of. Okay, so what we're going to do, so we are not having any purpose for keeping this, right? So anything without purpose, we can delete it here, right? So that's the best approach, best practice. So let's click on delete, and here you can simply say delete me, right? And then you can, and it says create final snapshot. You can remove that option, otherwise it will create final snapshot. Don't choose create final snapshot, right?
Okay. So
Yeah.
the name is mentioned there. So I should.
Pardon?
Some name is mentioned in that delete snapshot. Create final snapshot. So I should remove that, no?
Yeah. Just remove this one. See, don't want to create a final snapshot or something. This will create with this name actually.
Right.
So we don't want, because it's not needed for us. So if it is production environment or something, so for that reason they will they are giving this option. So you just remove that, and then you choose I acknowledge. I acknowledge the consequences of deleting this and not choosing that. So here you can say delete me now. Delete me. Like this you should do, then you should delete. Pradeep, you are getting it?
Yes, Harish. Actually, I deleted it, but
You created
I did
final
not.
snapshot?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So what you do, you will have like how we used to have in EC2, you will have snapshot option here.
Is there?
Go there. So you will see some snapshot here. You select that, and then you go to action and delete it.
Delete. Okay, fine, understood.
Yeah. So, so for me, like deleting DB instance and it's not creating the snapshot, it's deleting. It will take some time, right? Because all those tables and databases and instance and everything will be deleted here, right? So all those, it will take some, maybe 1 minute or 2, right? So meanwhile, it is getting deleted. So let's check what is the next topic for us, right? So that is Meson Aurora. So after this multi-agent deployment, we have that. Amazon Aurora. So later we'll go and check whether it is deleted or no or not, right? So this Aurora we were seeing, right, that notification, Prashant, some time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So this is really an awesome tool, awesome database service, right? So this is designed from scratch to run in cloud, right? So say like we have MySQL or some other database. So originally those things were designed for our physical servers, right? Right. So this Aurora is no, from the ground level it is designed to run in cloud. So now you can understand know how much capable it would be from the cloud's perspective, right? How much fast it would be, right? So this is very fast and gives no much more performance as compared to MySQL and other things, right? So this is compatible with the MySQL, right, and Postgres as well, right? So say like if you are having any MySQL or Postgres database running on premises, right, and you are thinking of doing some migration, right, from your on-premises database server to AWS, right? So you can consider this Aurora. If you have MySQL server or Postgres, you can consider this, right? You can explore this. Yeah, good option actually, right? So we have database migration service, right? DMS. You can utilize that, and we can migrate from the on-premises database to the server, right? So this is something fully managed, right? So we have the migration support. We have this compatible thing. It's fully managed by this Amazon, right? So you can understand, right? So fully managed features. So we get all those features, right? So whatever is there for fully managed, because state of the art services and all those support from Amazon, right? So that is unmatched, right? So we don't have to worry about anything. We don't have to worry about provisioning of hardware or provisioning of this operating system and any kind of patching, any kind of backup, any kind of nothing we have to think about, right? So it will be simply backing up database on S3, right? And CloudWatch will be integrated. You remember CloudWatch for monitoring, right? So that CloudWatch will be monitoring the performance of the database, right? So on the same hardware, right? Many customers and many people have told that that on the same hardware where you are having that MySQL running, right? So it's giving almost like 3 to 5 times better performance. You can imagine, right? So many customers, they have told, right? It may vary actually. So minimum of the 3 times better performance, and like many people on an average, like they're telling 4 times, 5 times, I'm getting better performance. So that great this is in cloud, right? So we have all the features, right? Those copies we were seeing, no, those read replicas and 6 copies across 3 availability zones will be kept, right? So all those features will be there, right? So this is a great thing to consider, right? So we'll see this this option. So we can have multi-master here, multi-master. So we are seeing about master concept, right? Master concept and then multi availability zone. We were keeping things standby servers, right? So you can have multi-master concept as well, right? So we'll have primary instance, right? And say like you have replica. So you have say like primary instance, replicas. So in say like A, B, C, like there's some regions, right? So data copies, right? So here, so some reads are happening. So writes are happening, right? Here writes are happening. So this primary instance is doing all these write operations on various data copies, and we have the clusters in volume, and all those things are hidden from you, all abstracted. So you don't have to worry about. So in this like Aurora itself, you will get another serverless option. So in that how we are seeing the instance and Pradeep was asking about the instance, right? We have the database instance, and then on that we have database or something. So if you go for Aurora serverless, right? So name itself is serverless. So for you, there is no server, right? Actually, server will be there, but not for you. You don't. It will not be visible to you. It's not for you. So that will be on demand, auto scaled, right? And it will be available for MySQL compatible edition, not for that Postgres. So automatically it will start. Automatically it will shut down. Automatically it will take care of things, right? So scaling. So whatever needed, everything it will take care, right? Whenever whatever is the workload, based on that you have to pay their per second basis, if it is in use, if it is in use, if it is active, if it is running, for that only you have to pay for that serverless, right? So that will be highly durable and available, and all those features of AWS managed aspects, right? So say like if you are using, if you want it for say like some infrequent use for some particular situation where it is not consistently used, where you don't require constant access to database or something. So in that case, that serverless Aurora is useful, right? So like variable workload is there. Sometimes you have less workload, sometimes more workload. You don't know, right? So you have say like a low baseline where very low utilization is there, but sometimes you have a huge utilization. Say like some development environment or something where you are doing some testing, where at the month end you require huge capacity, right? And then you don't require anything, right? So you can consider that serverless option where at the whenever there is high utilization, that time that serverless will come into picture. It will run and it will make things possible for you, and then again it will disappear, right? So let's go and see this Aurora. Please go to AWS Management Console, right? So this is successfully deleted, right? So I'll just refresh and I'll just check that one more time. So and go to the database. See, it's deleted for me. So all of you, please check, cross check. Prashant, deleted for you? Pradeep? Pradeep and Prashant, please confirm this.
It is successfully deleted.
Deleted, right? Perfect, perfect. And net gateway is not there for you, right? Gone, right?
Yeah, it's not there.
Perfect, perfect. So Pradeep, you checked your snapshots deleted? Pradeep? I think Pradeep got disconnected.
We got disconnected, is it? Okay.
Yeah, actually some maintenance going on at his home because of the power fluctuation. A lot of issues are there. So today it will be little on and off for him. In his area, some power maintenance going on.
Okay.
Okay, so fine. Then let's go to here only. So this is good. No need to go anywhere. No need to go to AWS console, because this is where we have to come back. So let's be here. And you see here, it's giving us option here as well. This is what we are looking for, right?
Correct.
But anyways, I'll show you the option when this notification may not be permanent. So it might come sometime, might not come. So here the same thing, how we created that RDS MySQL, right? That you had seen, the first option was Aurora. Can you recall?
Right,
Click
right.
on, yeah, click on this create database, right? And then you see what comes. See the first option?
Yeah, Aurora is there, correct.
Right? So now you're comfortable with this, right? So you can create anything here. All are similar, right?
Right.
So you just have to choose this standard create engine type you choose. Here say like Amazon Aurora with MySQL compatibility you want, or Postgres compatibility you want. Say like MySQL compatibility, I'll keep this Aurora MySQL. You see in the bracket, right? So this is the version actually. Now database location, regional or global. So tell me, for production, sometimes you want it for global, right?
Yeah.
So what is the benefit? You can provision your Aurora database in multiple AWS regions, not in multiple availability zones, multiple regions. See, we were seeing for that RDS MySQL, I was creating a diagram where I was showing you multi-availability zone deployment, right? So this is multiple AWS region deployment. Huge, right? Big.
Correct.
Big concept. So writes in the primary AWS region are replicated with typical latency of less than 1 second. Can you imagine? Right. So primary to secondary, if you look at it, you'll be amazed. Writes in the primary AWS region are replicated with typical latency of less than 1 second to secondary AWS regions. This fast is the write. You saw the photograph just now. I was showing the image, right? So that write operation, whatever replication was happening, this one. So that is happening in less than 1 second. This is availability zone it is showing. So in the diagram, you just imagine 2 regions, and then that is happening in less than 1 second. So that much, feature you're having. So this you can choose in case of production. So for now, say like will not create it. This will go to some charges. This will be chargeable. So we'll keep it something say like regional, right? And you have like one writer and multiple readers. You can relate it. One writer means what and multiple reader means what. You can relate, right?
Yeah. One can write and multiple
can read. Correct. So how it is? This one, like this one. Yeah. So you have this one is writing, no?
Correct.
And then all reads. Correct. These 2 are reads. Read replica. Now, similar to that, right? So one writer and multiple readers, right? You have another choices. One writer, right? Multiple readers, parallel query, multiple writers, serverless. I was talking about serverless.
Right.
So specify minimum and maximum amount of resources. That's it. Aurora scales the capacity based on database load. Whatever is needed, whenever it is needed, as much as it is needed, that much will be done. Now, good option for intermittent and unpredictable workloads. So this is an awesome option, right? Where you are not sure about the workload and you have intermittent workload, or you don't know about the capacity, how much you are needing, right? So you don't want to pay for something, you don't want to do some reservation kind of thing that I want this many CPU, that many things. So you can go for this serverless. They will be charging based on per second basis of the utilization. Now, you don't have free tier option here, right? So production and dev, right? Sorry. So say like if I choose dev test, here the instance is intended for development use or something. You can choose for production high availability and fast consistent performance production use. So you can give some database names, you can give some username, right? You can give some password, right? So like I give some password. You can just see this demo, right? Similar thing how we did, right?
Correct.
So just see this demo. So you can relate to this. Now say like instance size, you can choose DB large or something, or this burst table. We have been using the T instance here, T2 micro is not there, T2 small is there, right? You have multi-AZ deployment option. Don't create Aurora replica, or you can create an Aurora replica or reader node in a different availability zone recommended for scaled availability. You can choose this option, or you can say like normal single instance only you can create. Now you have connectivity option, default. After this is connected, then similarly you can have subnet group, you can have public access or no public access, you can have like security group, you can decide. Availability zone, you can choose no preference, you can choose that 3306 as the port. You can have additional configuration, you can give some database name, right? And you can choose this default cluster, whatever databases are there, so that can be added to some cluster group. So you can choose that, and then you can have this parameter group, option group, failover priority. You can decide on the priority, you want, this is the highest one actually, right? Tier 0, tier 1, second. So you can choose like tier 0 or something. So based on that, or you can choose no preference. So what kind of priority you are looking for, right? So you can choose, select tier 1, tier 2, or no preference. So backup you can choose, backup retention period you can decide up to 35 days, how it was, right, earlier. So exactly same, right? Same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So just say one day copy tags to snapshots, enable encryption. You can enable encryption or you can disable it. You can decide on the master key, right? If you enable it, enable backtrack, right? It will change for storing and changes you're making in backtracking. So backtrack lets you quickly rewind the database cluster to a specific point in time. So you can go back to a particular point of time. So kind of how we were reverting to snapshot or something, right? So we don't have to create a DB cluster. You can go back point in time. So now you have monitoring option, enhanced monitoring. You can choose that. You can choose, or no, if you want it, or process monitoring, how much CPU is getting utilized by which process. Log exports you can do, right? Again, if you choose the logs, right, and then you can export to CloudWatch using the IAM role. Now, maintenance window for minor version upgrade. So you understand this minor version upgrade, you can decide the window, right? Deletion protection, exactly the same. So all those options you might have seen like similar, right? Except the few things where this is specific to Aurora, right? Otherwise, all generic options, right? So you can choose all those options. You can say create database, and then this database will be created, right? And you can start using how we were using the MySQL database, right? Similar to that on the similar code, right? So nothing different here. So for this demo purpose, I will just cancel. You can also cancel it because that will be chargeable. There is no free tier in that, right? So this is about the Aurora, right?
Yeah.
Then let's look at the next slide, right?
So Arish, Aurora is basically like elastic this one, right? If you want more, it will give you more.
Yeah, so Aurora is like very huge and very widely used, very good option, and without any headache. Say like it's SQL type only. How we have MySQL and how we have Postgres SQL or how we have any kind of relational database. It's like that only, but we don't have to blink our eyes also.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. So we don't have to do anything here. So fully used, and then serverless is like even further one step.
Correct. Correct.
Aurora serverless. So there even you don't have to even decide on anything. Simply you say this is minimum, this is my maximum, this is my capacity. That's it. I don't want anything else to do there. You please do it. They will take care of everything. When it is, they will decommission that instance. They will just bring it down. They will bring it up. They will burst it. They will use many instances. Then they will bring it down immediately. So per second basis, they will charge. Whenever there is use, then only they will charge. That's it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So very good option actually. This Aurora. Yeah. So apart from that, we remember apart from relational databases, we also discussed about NoSQL databases. Correct?
Yeah.
So for NoSQL, we have this DynamoDB. So this is a good option.
Okay.
Yeah. So that we were seeing a NoSQL database service, DynamoDB, key value and document. Key value pair we have been creating multiple times. Sometimes some kind of document type of things we are writing in some JSON file, correct? So what happens sometimes, very simple things. We don't need row and column and lot of schema where we want to relate this table with that table, and those things are not always needed, right? So this then came the concept of NoSQL database service actually. So this is one example, right? So we have another MongoDB, and we have that Redis and all. So this is a good option from AWS, right? So this is again fully managed, right? This is
Okay.
fully managed, very good performance and all this, and this is fully managed means all those features, right? So here we can provision the throughput based on the workload, whatever workload we may be having. Based on that, we can provision that, and then again SSD volumes will be there in this backend. So SSD volume means again high speed, right? And then again multi-region option we are having here.
Correct. Right.
That multi-region, multi-master, whatever features were there, we were seeing for Aurora. So that feature is there. So we can replicate across multiple availability zones, across multiple availability regions as well. Right? So one availability zone is in this region, another availability zone is in another region. So from this availability zone to that availability zone, it is getting replicated, right? So this is a multi-master concept is there. So when there is one master, right, little bit no gap may be seen, right? When it is switching from one availability zone to another availability zone, one thing is becoming master, another thing is becoming getting replaced and becoming slave. So like that it is happening. That time there might be some impact, right? Some level of service, the performance might decrease, correct? So when you have multi-master concept, then it is truly fault tolerant. Truly fault tolerant.
More than one owner, is it? Or
yeah, more than one master. Right? More than one primary actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So what will happen? Right. So both will be running in parallel, right? And multiple primary servers will be doing that right operations and controlling things. So you don't have to wait for some other to take the charge of primary role, right? Right operation and all.
So the data across them will be replicated very fast. So that
very fast. Data will be replicated very fast, right?
Okay.
So this is again because managed, right? Managed by Amazon only, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So they will be taking care of everything. They will be putting best class systems there, right? So because of that, we'll have that durability, availability, and then resiliency. And then here, because of this multi-master concept, it becomes fault tolerant. Remember fault tolerance?
Correct. Yes.
Right?
Switch to another if one goes wrong, and will create one more instance.
Yeah. Fault tolerance means if, say, like there is something like high availability, that will be highly available. There is something like what you call resilient, and then here fault tolerant means there will not be any degradation in the performance. That is most important about fault tolerance.
Right. Yeah.
No degradation in performance. Even if one particular aspect of the infrastructure is compromised, if one particular aspect of the one particular component of the infrastructure is degraded, still, right, no impact on the performance. Right? So that is only possible, right? So if it is single master or something, so single DB instance will be performing the write operation, right? Others were read only. You saw that photo?
Correct. Yeah.
So I think previous one, yeah, here. This is single master or multi-master?
There are two writes, right? It's multi-master.
No.
It's writing two places, database.
See, this primary instance, right?
This is only one instance, correct?
This only doing all the write, no?
So there is not a multi-master, correct?
Only one, right? So this is only single master. But if you have more than one like this doing, then what? Yes, that will be must. So this is one write and another all read, right? So in multi-master, what will happen? All instances, right, will be performing write. This will also be performing right. This will also be performing right. This will also perform. All will be doing right in parallel. So if you say like three are there, three of them are doing write operation, three of them are doing read operation, then how fast and how redundant it will be.
Correct. Yes.
So will there be any degradation of write operation at any point of time?
No,
right? So that is the concept here. So it will be different. Aurora is having that. Similarly, we are having this multi-master concept in DynamoDB as well, right? So good concept actually, right? So inbuilt security is there, highly durable it is, right? Backup restore will happen automatically. In-memory caching. You heard about? Can you relate to this term? Caching, how it happens in the RAM?
Correct. Yeah.
How will it be for say like read request? If it is cached in the RAM, how fast it will be?
It's very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, as compared to hard disk, if it is read from directly from the memory only, so it will be too fast right now. So for say like what we call it like internet scale application, we have like smaller application, enterprise level application, this level application like that. So we say like internet scale applications, right? For even for internet scale application, this is ready. This DynamoDB, because of this feature of in-memory caching, it's ready for internet scale applications, that level. Right. So it can handle 10 trillion requests in a day.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can handle peaks of 20 million plus requests per second.
Wow.
20 million requests per second, you can think. So huge. All very big companies like you have Toyota is there, right? Some financial bank, Capital One is there in US, right? Capital One. So they are using it, right? You have this Samsung people, they are also using it.
Okay.
Yeah, many companies are using for even for all those what we call mission critical applications and all, right? So all are being used on this.
Hi, Harish.
Hi. Yeah. So you're back.
Yeah, I'm back actually. So I left in the Amazon Aurora topic. And
yeah. So please go through the
video. Okay.
Recording for Aurora, right? So we have not done much hands-on. It is similar to how we have done that RDS MySQL, right?
Understood.
Yeah.
We'll go through.
Once you go through video, you will be able to relate, because it's like almost 75% similar tuning you have to do while doing hands-on, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that was a quick demonstration from me. So I had just shown that, and then we discussed about this DynamoDB, which is NoSQL database service. Actually, this is for mission critical workload. Various organizations are using it, right? So this is extensively used for those IoT related, gaming related. So many kind of big aspects are there related to this DynamoDB. So very good thing, NoSQL, and quite fast, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So you can do demo. We can do demo for this. Let's do that demo. Yeah.
Okay.
You can go to that AWS Management Console. And here only, go to that console itself. This is not part of RDS.
Okay.
Yeah. And in RDS, we didn't see that DynamoDB, right? So this is not managed by RDS. This is a separate service. So go to that AWS console. There you look for Dynamo. You'll see this managed NoSQL database. Managed NoSQL database, DynamoDB. Right? You come to this dashboard for DynamoDB. So Amazon DynamoDB is a fast and flexible NoSQL database service for all applications that need consistent single-digit millisecond latency at any scale, right? Millisecond latency. Its flexible data model and reliable performance make it great fit for mobile applications, web applications, gaming applications, ad tech, IoT, right? And many other applications, you see, right? Awesome, no? Features, right? Now you go to create table. See what we are doing. Are we creating any instance or something? No, right? Creating table only directly, right?
Okay.
No schema, schema-less, right? So no kind of table is there. This database is there. That is related. That column, this, and that. So we are not doing much thing here. So what it says, DynamoDB is a schema-less database, right? That only requires a table name and a primary key. That's it. No foreign key or something here, right? So table's primary key is made up of 1 or 2 attributes. So you can have more than 1 attribute, a couple of attributes you can make a primary key, and another sort key you can just decide. So based on 2 of them, you can manage with the primary key. So that is another option here. So uniquely identify items. Just the purpose is to uniquely identify any particular item, or differentiate between the data. Just make a different part of this is different data, that is different. So like that, partition the data and sort data within each partition, right? So simply just give some table name here, 3 to 255 characters, right? So just give some table name. I'll say Dynamo1. Okay. Primary key we can put something. So I'll say like UID. I'll say some UID, user ID or something, and then I'll say a number. Type. The primary key is made up of partition key, hash key, and an optional sort key. So I'm just choosing partition key as UID, some number I'm giving, simply I'm not giving anything, table name and primary key I'm saying. And then you have table settings. Default settings provide the fastest way to get started with your table. You can modify these default settings now or after your table has been created, right? So it says default setting. If you choose default setting, simply you can click on create and it will happen. But we want to see what all settings are there. Just remove that default setting. Okay, remove that, uncheck. Please confirm.
Yeah, unchecked, yes.
Unchecked, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you see read write capacity mode. So here you see the options. Read write capacity mode can be changed later also, but here you have option for provisioned and on demand, right? So you see here, this is called RCU. This is called WCU. So this is read capacity units and this is write capacity units. So what happens is, right, even for you can see here free tier eligibilities, right? This provisioned, correct? So this is free tier eligible, right? Estimated cost $2.91 per month capacity calculator, something like that. So here you can see 5 read capacity unit and 5 write capacity units are selected here for free tier eligible provisioned one. So if you choose this, right, actually we are eligible up to 25 RCUs, actually 25 RCUs and 25 WCUs. So what is that RCU, WCU?
How many times, how many will write, how many will read?
Yes, yes, yes. So but they have differentiated, they have written that, given that name, right? So it can be little bit variable based on the size of the file actually, right? Say like you have some item, right? Some data, some file which is 2 KB, 3 KB, less than 4 KB, correct? So if it is less than 4 KB, right? One RCU, right, can perform one read request, right, per second. Just understand. One RCU means one read request per second if and only if your items, right, the object is less than 4 KB. What if it is more than that? You will consume more, no, capacity. Say like it is 5 KB, 6 KB. You may consume 2 read capacity units. Understood? So it's not exactly request. No, it's not like it's not exactly one read request. Getting it? Hello.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similarly, for this write capacity units, there will be some definition. If it is less than 1 KB write, less than 1 KB write, then that will be considered as one write request. Right? If it is more than that, then you may consume more write capacity, right, per second. So like that, it is some provisioned capacity calculation. So you can go and read about it, right? So you can find more information and try to understand about what is read capacity unit, what is write capacity unit, right, and what is some kind of replicated write capacity unit. So from here to there, when replication happens, right, so then only write operation will happen, right? So when replication is happening and the write operation is happening, so no, that will be RWCU. This is RCU, WCU, RWCU. So like that. So now we will choose. See, this is not suitable for us because, right, we don't know, right, about the provisioned capacity. We don't know about our uses and how much it is going to. We don't want to reserve it, right? So we can choose on demand. On demand means what? Simple, right? Whatever is required, whenever it is required, that much will be taken, that much will be used. That's it. So nothing to mention in advance. So you can choose on demand, right? Auto scaling, encryption at rest. You see default KMS, AWS customer managed and AWS managed customer master key, right? Customer master key. This is also master key. So see this. This is default owned by DynamoDB. You are not charged for anything like in this one. If you choose default, if you choose this KMS customer managed CMK. So this is again managed by KMS, but the key is yours. You are creating, you are owning, you are managing the key, right? But KMS charges will be there. Service charges will be there. Now, if you choose this option, here also KMS charges will be there. So you are storing it in KMS, but this is managed by AWS. It's not managed by you. You don't want AWS to know. You don't want AWS also to open decrypt your data. If it is that confidential, you can go for this option. Customer managed, you can manage it. You will own, you will take care of it. So you can do that. Still, you will pay for KMS charges, and here also you will pay. So depend. Now here you just choose default, right? So what we have chosen, DynamoDB UID, something we have chosen on demand. I have chosen like this, like this. So simply I say create. What will happen? You see, table is being created. Dynamo 1. See, filter, create table. So Dynamo 1 is created here, you see. Right? You see here, manage stream. Stream enabled, no. View type latest stream ARN manage stream. What is stream? It will capture any changes in DynamoDB table, right, at item level, right? If some item is getting created, some item is getting deleted, some item is getting updated, right? So any changes will be there. So that will be captured when we enable this. So it will be capturing all those data, all those changes, all those creation related, deletion related. So that is stream actually. So that feature is there. You can manage that. Table details, all these options. So all of you came to this screen.
Yeah.
Yes, Harish.
Okay, good.
Harish,
So,
one question.
tell
So
me, please.
you disabled auto scaling, right?
I don't know. Just see here.
Yeah, auto scaling with this, it is enabled actually.
Where is that? You see this option here written anywhere?
For me, it is auto scaling disabled. Provision read capacity, write capacity, both auto scaling disabled. It was saying, so that's why.
See, create table when we did. So where
Yeah.
was the option? Use
Below.
default we did. Provision. This one I provision capacity I chose on demand. Auto
You
scale
choose on
means-
demand?
Yeah, on demand only, because see this see what happens is this is something which is not for our use case. So I used on demand, so that is gone actually, not applicable.
Okay. Now how do I this
Nothing.
one modify?
You delete it, create another one, or you can go to this. Wait 1 second.
Delete table, right?
Yeah, or you can change that. You can change that option. No, you can find that. So actions here you will see items capacity. Here you change capacity. You go.
Okay.
Make
On
it on
demand.
demand. Yeah.
Okay, save.
Right. So just save it. Then no, the change. You go to items.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you see here? What do you think? What it may be? Items means what? We were putting some data in our another table, right? You remember?
Yeah.
So this is NoSQL type. That was kind of row column type. So here we can do all those things, right? We can put data and all. So say like Prashant, you are there in this page,
Yeah.
right? So here in item tab, you have option to create item, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just click on that. You see how it comes. UID number. You remember I had chosen UID as some primary key or something as a number. I just gave primary key and I just gave table name. That's it. Correct. So this I will choose as 1. When I click on plus, append. Say like I want string, right? What else I want? I want say like UID 2. What I want here? What should I put here? Field that is looking for, not number. Getting? Username.
Username.
This table we were having, no, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll just say name only then. Don't say username. I'll say name. Okay, I'll say name, and then so that I can put the name of the person, right? So what is the value I want to give for this name? I will say like ABC something. Now I just say plus append. I just want to put some other string. Say like I want to say city, and I say like some value Bangalore. I say something else. I say append. string. What else I can put? Or I can say like what else option I was having? I'll say email. Email at. Nice. So like this, you see some options are there, number. I say some mobile. See, this is NoSQL type table. Here in place of this tree, you can choose text. This is also a good option. You just click on text and see what is going on. See, it became normal JSON type, no?
Yes.
So simply you can just DynamoDB JSON type. Say like this, it will become exactly JSON type. You braces, and this, that, as. So you can have like this. This is normal text. You just say save, right? Because I chose number and I gave some 10 zeros, it became 0. So this is not making much sense, but it's okay. So I'll just say save, right? So what happened? I'm having that UID 1. Now I can add another one, correct? I can say 2, right? And I can say a pen. I can say like a pen. I can say country, and I can say India, and I can say string line, and I can say some number, right? I say save. Okay, so whatever was needed like that for this person, I have chosen that. It's not like this key, that key, and all those some kind of enforcement or some kind of thing. It's not like that, right? So I have put some data here, some data there, right? So whatever required for that user, right? I have put that data. Want to search something, right? So it's showing this. You want to search. That's how you will search. How you can query. We were doing, select asterisk from table name like that. So here you want to do that search, you have query option here. Just click on this, scan, change it to query. Here.
Okay.
Right. So you can simply say, right, what do you want to search? You can say add filter here, which attribute you want to search. So I'll say country string equal to, I'm looking for, say like this only, that's it. Whatever it might have kept. I looked for country. I have not put that. Okay. Okay. So like I'm putting that 2. I have made that primary key, right? So it's coming like this, you see. Getting my point?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you can search here. You don't have to say this or that row, column, and lot of things here. So how you are storing, how you are creating that structure is important, right? So how you are creating the item, right? For what is the actual purpose, right? Some production case if you take. So some information maybe for some people, some information maybe for someone else, something may be there, something may not be there. Lot of things can be done, but how it queries internally and how it fetches the information and how fast it is, that actually matters, right? So you don't have to have any particular structure here, right? So you don't have to have multiple tables and you relate this table with that table, right? So all those things you don't have to do, right? So that is what is my NoSQL, right? So you can delete any item if you wish, right? So how you will delete? Say like this item you want to delete or some other item you want to delete, just simply select that item, go to action and click on delete. You say delete and that is deleted. No records found with the given filter. Now that record is not there. Getting it?
Yeah.
So for deleting the table, it's simple here. It's selected here, right? And then you simply click on delete table. Delete all CloudWatch alarms for the table. Create a backup before deleting this table. So here the option is reverse. There, by mistake, what you did, you created this snapshot. Here, delete all CloudWatch. CloudWatch will be deleted, and backup, if you want to create, you have to choose. Correct. So here, by default, this create backup is not coming. Here, delete only coming. So it will clean everything, right? So simply we have to type delete here. Don't have to choose anything, whatever is coming by default, right? So you can simply say delete, right? And then that table is being deleted, right? So you see this table is deleted. Can you delete all your tables?
We are deleting complete table, right?
Yeah, correct. Just table only we created, table only we deleted. That's it.
Okay.
Prashant, please let me know.
Yeah, I've deleted, Harish.
Okay,
Yeah, deleted.
perfect. So this is no, you can practice more about this, right? Now, apart from this, there is a concept of warehouse you might have heard about, right? Data warehouse. Heard? What is it?
Correct.
What is data warehouse? Kind of database management system, right? Data management system, I would say, not database management. I would say like data management system, right? Where, what is the purpose? You heard about analytics?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So you want to analyze data, correct? You want to interpret what the data means, right? You want to understand the various stages of data, various attributes of data, right? Various patterns of data. You want to understand those features of data, right? So that particular thing is called analytics, right? So analytics means systematic analysis of data, correct? No, analytics means systematic computational analysis, you can say, right, of the data. Right? Heard about big data analysis? I think Pradeep.
Yeah, I've heard about big data.
Heard this analytics term anywhere? Google Analytics?
Yeah.
Google Analytics you might have heard, right, Prashant?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
Right, Google Analytics, very famous, right? So kind of it's a web analytics service from Google, right, for tracking and for reporting website traffic, whatever is, for how long the session was there, how many pages were per session. So this website people will be using those Google Analytics to for marketing purpose, for some sales purpose, right? So they can analyze how much traffic was there, right, on the website. So all those kind of analysis. So if something, some analysis of data is called analytics, right? And for doing some kind of working on some kind of analytics, right, you need these kind of data warehouse kind of stuff, right? So understand that this data warehouse is kind of data management system, right, for supporting business intelligence activities. Business intelligence activities. So nowadays, right, until and unless businesses become intelligent, right, there is no scope for them, right? So they are doing all those things to remain in business on the top, right? So for that purpose, it is needed so much, right? So main purpose is to query and analyze the huge amount of historical data, right? So you have some data already collected, right? So some historical data is there, so huge data. So that's why we are calling warehouse, right? So you have huge data kept, keep on analyzing it in different aspects, right? What it is, how it is, what is the pattern, when, no? So all those things for that data warehouse is required, right? So, right? So where from data is coming here? In this one. So informed decision making. So you can use, this will help you for informed decision making for consolidated data from many sources. Consolidated. So from where it is coming? From log file of the application, right? From whatever that databases we created, right? Some kind of relational databases, some kind of databases. So data can come from those databases, right? And then from the logs, it can come, right? So like that, all those data will come, and then those data will be analyzed. Those data will be analyzed, right? So what it will do? It will centralize, right, and consolidate all the data coming from various sources. So from various sources, data will be coming from database, from logs, from here, from there. So all those data will be consolidated in the warehouse, right? Now, data warehouse has capacity to analyze. So again and again, I'm just repeating on the term is analyze. It will do analysis. It is much related to analytics. Mainly that analytics is nowadays the main purpose has become, right? So it will allow companies to get valuable insights, some kind of business insights actually. So for improving the decision making, whether they should go for this product, whether I should go for this product or not, whether I should do this or that. So they can analyze this data, and they can take a decision whether they should launch this product in India or they should not. So lot of things are related to this. Is really quite growing, and olden days also we have been using data warehouse. So it's not a new concept. It's like traditionally also we used, but as compared to that the importance of data, right, and analytics for staying on the top of business, for staying competitive, right? So this is all about that. So we are having some options here in Amazon, also giving that kind of facility, right? So as compared to traditional warehouse, it is like maybe you can say 10 times more fast, right? You can say 10 times better performance, right? So Amazon is giving us Redshift, right? So that is data warehouse, right, from the Amazon, right? You all are with me so far?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So this Amazon Redshift, right? So it is a fast, right, simple and cost-effective data warehouse, right? So Amazon claims that it is 10 times better. It gives 10 times better performance as compared to any of the data warehouses available. Now you can see they are claiming like that. So because it's using machine learning, right? They have massive parallel architecture, right? And there the hardware behind it, right, is compute optimized, right? So meant for high processing. So much of processing will be required, right, if you want to work on data, right? So a lot of computational capacity required, right? So the hardware itself is compute optimized, right? Now there is a concept of result set caching, right? So because of that result set caching, it will be delivering high throughput, right? Whatever is the result coming, right, that will be cached. How we were checking that cloud front and all, it was fast, right? Pradeep, Prashant.
Yeah.
So you can recall that cloud front. What it was doing some kind of caching, right?
Correct. It will store
In
as a
the
task.
say like near the endpoint, near the end user, right? It
Yeah.
will store the data in cache, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So what will happen? The throughput will be high, the latency will be low, response will be very fast. All those things are happening here because of it supports that result set caching. Once you are searching for something and then some result is coming, whatever results are coming, that will be cached, so that if it is accessed again, right, it will be very fast, right? So it's quite fast, no doubt about it, right? And now about the simplicity, if you talk, right, so it's easy to set up, deploy and manage, right? So we can easily do that. And then we have options to automate it, right? So for any administration, right, for managing, for monitoring, for scaling the data warehouse, so all those things are very simple and very easy, right? And it is again another feature is cost effective, right? So it's highly cost effective. Getting it? Right? So 25 cents or something per hour. Okay. So 25 cents or something per hour if you use, right? Some kind of $1,000 or something per year, per terabyte, right? So that much will be the cost. So we can look at the monthly cost prediction, right? Where? In the billing section. You are familiar with billing section, right? Did you see the prediction there in billing? In this billing section,
Yeah.
you looked at the prediction. Ever you tried that? So show me where it is, the prediction. See?
Yeah. Forecast. Okay.
So based on the prediction, right, you can decide, right? So whatever, no, what you're looking for, you can predict this, and then based on that you can decide, right? So you can pay only for whatever you're using, and then you can just decide whether how much you should go for, right? So what may be the use case for this Redshift? Tell me. Anyone there? Pradeep. So we can use for some kind of getting some kind of report. We can get the best performance. Say like we want some kind of report, some kind of dashboard, some kind of interactive analysis, right? Right.
Yeah.
So we can give, we can write complex queries, right? At any scale of the data, right? So we can write very complex queries, and then we can try to find out, right, how much is the, no, how
Okay.
much fast it is. Yeah. So we can use Redshift for getting best performance for the reports, right? For interactive analysis, right? For getting fast results for complex queries at any scale, right? So that is all about Redshift, right? So for today, I have this much, right? So you have any question or something, you can discuss, right? So we can wind up, and then we can again begin tomorrow, like whatever leftover topic and whatever things are there, right? So we can take it tomorrow. Fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that okay, Prashant?
Sure, sure. That's fine.
Right. So today we'll wind up bit early. So we have discussed so far database, relational database, NoSQL database, databases on AWS, relational database service, RDS, Aurora, DynamoDB, warehouse, right? So Redshift and some hands-on related to some kind of demo related to MySQL, RDS, connecting to DB instance, right? Using Workbench, multi-availability zone deployment, Aurora DB cluster, and DynamoDB tables, right? So please go back and just try to revise things, whatever we have been discussing so far, right? So I would like to take up some questions tomorrow, right? For overall, whatever we have been discussing in last 36 hours, I would say, right? Or right. So we will also be discussing about AWS certified solutions architect associate SSA, that SA C02, right? So for that we'll be discussing the exam pattern, right? The questions, right? What kind of questions they are asking, how much time, how many questions will be there, how much time it will take, right? And all those things. So how to perform better in the exam. So all those aspects we will be covering, right? And then some 10-15 questions we will be discussing one by one. So whatever concepts we have discussed so far, right? Apart from that, few more concepts that we'll be doing in the beginning. Before in the very first session, we will be discussing those topics, right? And then towards the last session, maybe in the second session, so we'll break it into 3 sessions maybe. So we'll be discussing about all those questions, right? And then about the certification examination, right? So all those things we will do tomorrow, right? So please do attend session tomorrow, right? And if you get a chance, you also revise whatever we have been discussing so far, whatever concepts, right? So that you will be more interactive while dealing with the answers of the questions, right? Just try to revise quickly whatever you can, right? Is that fine?
Sure, Harish.
Right. So let's remove anything. We have been removing everything, right? Nothing else is there, right? In our console. All the services we have cleared, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we are
So
good.
this you were saying NAT gateway, right? That will be keep on charging.
NAT gateway, is it still running for you?
Yeah, I think it is running only.
No, it should not be running because you are charged only for 5 rupees, right?
Yeah.
If it would have been running, then you would be having more charges.
Okay, if it is not running, then that's a minimum charge, right?
I think no
No,
charges for you, no?
no,
Only for
5 rupees
the
something.
time you were running, then only it was charged, right, for you?
Yeah, correct. For 1 hour something.
Yeah, so that's it. Now you are
That's
not
it.
getting charged.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but you are having it.
No, NAT gateway says 0.
Yeah, it's not there because if you have it, then you are charged for having it.
Okay, okay.
So
Okay.
0.045 something per hour. So I was charged for 2 hours. Looks like I kept little longer than all of you. All of you created and then you deleted. So I think I was giving demo or something, might have created little earlier or little deleted later, right? So it was charged for 2 hours, right? So sometimes these small charges will be coming on your way, right? While you'll be doing all those practices. So I would say like, no, it's fine, small amounts and all, so we can pay to Amazon. So nothing wrong in it. If you by chance, if you incur heavy charges or something, right? So you can reach out to them and then you can request that, no, this is just for practice purpose you were doing and you are part of pre-tier and no, this has happened by mistake, right? So they can consider, but just keep that option of not going multiple times. If you go for a smaller amount, later if you have incurred a big charges, then it will be second time for you, right? So
Yeah.
better keep those chances, right? So at least for one time they will waive off for customers. That is what I have seen.
Okay.
But depends on the context and the situation, right? How much, how we are doing it. So all those things like that. So billing is very important. Just keep checking that billing, budget, cost explorer,
Okay.
right? Predictions. So all those things, no, keep checking. Security, right? So all those things. So tomorrow we'll also be discussing about various other no aspects, theoretical and architectural no aspects of this no AWS, right? So some kind of architecture design and framework will be there. So that we will be discussing. That is called well-architected framework, right? So there will be various pillars like security pillar, reliability pillar, performance